Hi, everyone. This is Inside the TMC family. And today I have with me Matt Rohl. Matt is the SVP of CRA Development in Emerging Markets at Draper and Kramer Mortgage Corp. And thank you for doing this with me, Matt. I so look forward to our conversation today.
Thanks, Faith.
We will get going here. Um, I would love it if you want to share just a little bit about Draper and Kramer at the beginning here, as far as who you are as a company, so that people have some idea kind of like what your perspective is within our TMC family.
Great. So Draper and Kramer, um, based in Downers Grove, Illinois. Our parent company, which is Draper and Kramer Incorporated, based in downtown Chicago, uh, been in business since 130 years. We actually have the oldest working FHA HUD license in the U.S. at, I believe, 1937. So that's a
Oh,
little
fantastic.
little
Yeah.
interesting fact, but we're independent mortgage banker. We're licensed in all 50 states, Puerto Rico and DC, and we have branches in about 26 states.
Yep. Yep. Perfect. I like no one else can say that. You have something that no one else can say. That is so cool. Well, let's get started here and learn a little bit more about you. So I always love this question because people normally do not, their first jobs are normally not what they're doing today. So share with me what your
Yeah,
first job ever was.
yeah. The LinkedIn profile doesn't usually go down to first job, does it?
Not
Um,
usually.
my first job at age 16 was a tennis instructor.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
I grew up. Tennis was my life. High school, played in college. Uh, Later on in life, taught for Adidas at tennis camps in the summer. But started just in a local city. Kids in the morning on the summertime tennis camps, stuff like that. So that was my first job.
That is a pretty cool first job. We hear a lot of restaurants and other things like that, but tennis instructor and working with people. So people have always probably been pretty important to you. Sounds like you might have recognized that a little bit early, along with your love of tennis.
Well, I would have a class of 8-year-olds, and then I would have a class of 60-year-olds. So you have to be able to adapt.
Absolutely, two different attention spans there for sure, especially when it comes to swinging things and balls. I would imagine those are quite different skill sets in those groups. So share with me, not a lot of people choose to be in the mortgage industry. We all kind of land here somehow and then tend to stick around. So share with me, how did you get into the mortgage industry and how long have you been in it?
So my father was in the mortgage industry in the
Ah,
70s and 80s and 90s, and worked for a thrift when there used to be thrifts in
yeah,
uh, in Indiana. And he was one of the first people in that Midwest area ever to sell a loan to Fannie and Freddie, or to Freddie Mac to start with. But I grew up with it. You know, my father used to be the person that used to go out to the U.S. League of Savings and do the classes. He was an instructor. And back then, the U.S. League of Savings was kind of like what the NBA is today.
yep.
So the conferences and traveling to them, and he would take me out of school. I'd miss like 40 days of school a year, which of course cleared in advance. And I would travel with him. And as we'd be at these conferences, I would be I'd play tennis with some of his associates at Freddie Mac. Fireman's Fund used to buy loans back then out of Minnesota. He used to buy loans in California, and we had to go inspect the properties and go out to California and when he purchased loans. So I grew up, and believe it or not, that there are still a few people in the industry today that did business with my father. It's kind of interesting, but I saw what that was at an early age. And believe it or not, at age 12, I announced I wanted to be a mortgage insurance rep.
No
Yeah.
Really?
So like I said, don't laugh, but so everything I did in school, classes I took, everything was to prepare me for this mortgage insurance job. And then in 1990, I took a job with United Guarantee, who I wanted to work for at the time. And there you go. So I've been in it for 30 years.
So very, very driven person from a young age. And I think that, having had a girl and a boy, I don't know if you see that in boys that young, that often, that what you want to do. But kudos to your dad. Kudos to your dad. Smart for him to take you along and have a little fun and see the world and ingrain yourself in an industry that obviously has served you and him very well.
And the big thing was interacting with adults
People.
at a young age. I think helped me uh, communicate, as well as I became a pretty expert traveler at an early age, which is sometimes not very fun at the airlines.
Not anymore. Back then, it maybe used to be a little bit. Share with me the one thing. I mean, obviously, you've been around the industry for a long time, but we're hoping to infuse some, new people, and we're seeing new people, in some places come into our industry. The one thing that you wish that you would have known that now is like so clear to you that you would share with somebody new coming into the industry.
Well, getting involved in the trade organizations. So not only, obviously I can almost consider TMC, a trade organization when I go out and go to your conferences and attend seminars and webinars, but get very involved in the mortgage bankers. There's obviously now NAREP, NAMBA, on the minority side, now REP, ARIA. Get involved in those, and what it does is it gets you in the know. Like, you're not going to miss anything
Yep.
information wise, but it gets you interacting with different types of people, as well as people across the United States. So if you're a rep in Chicago and you don't have communications with anyone outside of your little, cluster of people you hang out with in Chicago, you're going to miss out. And as you get later on in your career, I mean, I'm going back to my father. He stayed at the same company for so long, so I think that's kind of instilled in me. But you've got to be able to have opportunities in case something happens, and knowing people across the nation in different roles is very, very important, because you never know who you're going to be working with or working for through merger or acquisition, that type of thing. But to know people in different parts of the country than where you live is extremely important.
Yeah, building that network of people that can support you, you can support them. And for a lot of us, they become our like they're our friends and family in a lot of instances. So that in and of itself is very rewarding, but great advice. If you weren't in mortgage, what would we find you doing?
That's all I know.
I'm sure that's not true, but
No, I just can't see doing anything else. And you know, I, we started me and some other folks started a chapter for NAMBA in South Florida, and it's been going very well. Matter of fact, this week we have our big fundraiser event at Top Golf, but we're actually working towards doing a financial literacy class at FIU University. And one thing we're going to throw in there, and I think this is very important, is there's no new people in the industry. And the reason is because of the meltdown between '08 and I'll take it out to 12. Uh, those people would be the new entrants into the industry. And odds are they had a family member or maybe even direct,
impact,
parents that
yeah,
were affected by
yeah.
something negative in the mortgage industry over then. So why would that person want to get into the industry? So we're going to throw a piece in on that, on the opportunity to get into the mortgage industry, because, you think about majors in college, and unless it's, I was going to say doctor or lawyer, but then you come out with all this student debt. But there are not many jobs out there that has the opportunity for monetary gain as the mortgage industry, no matter what your major was in school. And I think it's important that we get the word out via financial literacy on becoming a homeowner, but also that it's job opportunity that, you know, I said 30 years, I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, the good again. And, you know, I think we're kind of in between right now, but that's the only thing I'd ever do.
Yeah. That is fantastic. I'm very similar. I've been in for a little bit longer than you are, but I'm a lot older than you are. And I kind of feel the same way. I think, it tends to kind of like get in your blood, and there's something that kind of feeds you that's a really, really good thing from the people. I always say it's all about the people in our industry. One random question. We're rolling into the holiday season. Perfect time to ask a holiday question. Share with me your favorite holiday tradition that you have.
I would say just decorating the house outside. Um,
Oh,
so I,
outside.
so
Okay.
I have a 12-foot tall inflatable Bumble, from the you know the abominable snowman from the
Yes.
Rudolph thing. He's in my
Yeah.
front yard, and then I've got the Grinch and Max, so it looks like they're stealing the lights off of the
Oh
tree
my
outside, and
gosh.
then just projectors and stuff on the walls, and just get a kick out of decorating, kind of like that Friday weekend after Thanksgiving thing.
I am so glad that I asked you that question, because that is not something that I would have thought of you. But what a cool thing.
Well, it probably slipped in after I moved to Florida in 2014 when I was in a condo in Chicago and it was 0 degrees outside. That probably wasn't high on the list, so maybe that's
I
why I
was
enjoy
gonna
it now.
say, I'm in Minnesota, so you have weather on your side. Definitely where you are now. That is absolutely fabulous. Well, we did not know each other really well before this. I've been very impressed with how you have hopped into the network and really engaged. You are doing really great things, and we appreciate you having you within our network as a resource. I cannot wait to see all of the things that you're doing at Draper and Kramer, and what your success is going to be.
Well, thank you. It's been mutually beneficial. I've gotten a lot out of TMC as well.
Well, thank you for doing this with me today. Really appreciate it, and have the happiest of holidays.
Thanks, Faith.